split on your shift?
Shift schedules.
Okay.
So I just
We finished that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move on to a new topic. Uh, so Christine, you're pretty much the manager of the virtual assistants. What would you say your management style is, and what really works well when you manage virtual assistants?
So with managing VAs, it's more likely best to really have communication with them all the time. Um, because you would know what they need, you would know how to manage them, and you would recognize and know their styles. Because if there's no communication, it's really hard for you to like see which person is best to do this, which person is best to do that. So it's much better to really have that communication between you and them. So that's how I normally manage them. And then I normally ask them for feedback or ask them like, is there something wrong? And then I talk to them. And then we try to sort things out. So instead of just letting them decide on their own, I just really talk to them about it. Just so that we can understand each other as well.
Right.
Because often, yes, it's part of like the team wherein you'll have conflicts or problems, but you really just tend to really talk to them one by one. So it's better that way.
Yeah, you've done a very good job on that. Chris, from your perspective, let's say you're still looking for a job and a host wants to hire you. You know, how would you like them to manage you? What do you think would work best?
I think the management style will be like to have an open communication, like what Christine said, is like to at least listen to what your VAs can actually provide or suggest in terms of what are the things that can actually benefit the company because they're the one who's actually handling those
Yeah.
people. I mean, the first barrier or your soldier who are actually facing
line of
Airbnb,
defense.
yeah,
Yes.
and also your guesses. So at least you'll get to know more insights coming from your people or from your VAs, and then you can also get like what are the things that we can actually do better, or what are the things that we may need to improve on. Like for example, this property that we currently have right now needs more touch up or needs more cleaning or need new furniture. So those are the things that you can actually learn from your VAs. And also maybe things that we can actually collaborate with the company. Like for example, as the owner, you can actually share insights and the things that we can actually learn or we can actually improve on in handling your properties as well. So if there is actually open communication, there will also follow the trust with each other. So technically, you'll have the confident that you can actually do your job well because you have your superior trust that you are doing right, and at least you can actually have like like a weekly communication, at least twice a month, on how are we currently doing in terms of our business, so that we're not just like answering phone calls or messages. At least we already know where we stand as a company and how are we going to reach the target that we want to achieve by the end of the month. I think that that's one thing that we may also consider if we are running a business like this.
Yeah, that's very, very good feedback. And it's very important to make sure that you're treating your team well, and you make sure that people are staying. Right? 'Cause I think a lot of hosts have a high turnover when it comes to virtual assistants. I know some bigger hosts run through virtual assistants very often, and maybe they might not stick around for more than 3 months. And it's very important to have longevity. So Christine, what would you say? I mean, you've been working for us for almost 5 years now. What would you say has helped you to stay on? As a company, how is our culture that allows you to kind of want to stay with us and not look for another job?
To be honest, before I came into in this industry, I was a hopper. Hopper meaning I transfer to one company to another. It's because
Yeah.
I'm not happy. I tend to see negative parts and I just easily give up and just like move to another one. It's just that when I started with you, with a company, it's different. It's somewhat like I found the comfort that I'm looking for. That's why I stayed. You have the freedom to decide. You have all the free will to do what you know is right. It's something that not hold you back if you know you're right. Right. So especially in making decisions. And one good thing about this is my skills and talents are being not really appraised, but acknowledged.
Recognize.
Yes, it's being recognized. So that's one good thing as well. Another is the team as well, of course. If you have a good team with you, if you support each other, and that's one thing that would really be a factor in staying in the company. So that's actually what made me stay. Like good boss, good people to work with.
Good pay.
Yeah,
as
of
well.
course. Yeah, of course, that's part of it. But yeah, mostly that made me stay.
Yeah, yeah. And I know about a year and a half ago, we hosted like a company retreat.
Yes.
I couldn't attend, but it looked very, very fun. We
Yeah.
rented a villa.
Exactly.
We talked a little bit about that experience of like, as a manager, being able to bond
Yeah.
with everyone else.
It's actually like a great experience because there are VAs that I get to meet for the first time
Yeah.
personally, because I only like talk to them over the phone, especially like now what we are having right now. It's a meet and greet, first time that I
First time
actually
meeting in
meet together,
4
and
years,
then
yeah.
Chris as well. This is the first time I met him in person, and it's really nice. It's really nice to bond with people, especially you're working with them. The experience with the villa is also nice because we get to enjoy while we're working. During that time, we're having fun, like drinking, doing like singing in karaoke. But during that time as well, I was thinking of making sure that we're not like laid back and just relaxing while the work is being like forgotten. So it's a balance. We were able to enjoy that time, but we're still working and nothing's left behind.
100%. And
Yes.
that's really why I love hiring in the Philippines, is because the work culture is, the work ethic is very, very superb here.
Yes.
And you guys work very hard, very respectful, and also that translates over to customer service as well. So how would you describe, I guess, like the Filipino work culture?
Filipino
To a
workers.
foreigner. Yeah, like how would you describe the work culture here in the Philippines to a foreigner?
I guess Filipino workers are the most trusted one. I'm not saying, and not other races are not trusted. Okay, it's just that based on my experience, Filipinos are really tend to work hard as long as they can. They don't easily quit. They see that the job is done well. So that I think that made it different because Filipinos are really patient. They're really hard workers, and they really tend to give everything they can. So that's one thing that I could say that will sell Filipinos to work for
Right.
like host. Or
And that's a big reason why us as a company we're successful is you work very, very hard and you lead by example, right? So your shift is from 9 a.m. to like 1 a.m. How are you able to manage that?
Before it was hard, to be honest, because it's straight. 16 hours, I guess.
Yeah.
To be exact, yeah, 16 hours. For me, because I'm not a morning person, to be honest. I'm a night person, so most of the time I'm really awake at night. I can't sleep. I just like before I can't sleep. I just watch movie and stuff. So literally I'm a night person. So I just manage time. So whenever it's nighttime, I just focus on my work, and if I have to do something, I make sure that somebody's covering just in case I needed help, because I also have kids. So I tend to ask somebody, hey, just cover me for this time, and then I'll be back after 30 minutes. Let's say 30 minutes or an hour. And then that person will come in. Just being responsible though, I think, and time management. That's
Right,
why I was
right.
able to cope up with the 16-hour shift.
Okay, yeah. And that's something that, you even sometimes work overtime too.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
Yes.
very like, I like that about you, definitely for sure. And then, but also like if you do need to take a day off, or take a vacation, like we allow that. Really, as long as someone can cover. Right? Can you talk a little bit about that process? Like, hey, if someone is off, or if they're feeling sick, how do you manage making sure that at all times, someone is covering? Because we pretty much have 24/7, customer service coverage. So at any given time, someone will be replying to guests or to Airbnb.
I know this kind of job is sometimes exhausting because your brain is really working the entire shift. You would be handling different kinds of guests, different attitudes, and so on. And there are times that we really can't avoid, like let's say sickness or emergency with the family, or they really have to distress themselves just for one day, and which I understand. So for special cases like emergency or sickness, I tend to speak with the other VAs to cover it up, or if not, I'll cover. That's just how it is. So we're just covering each other. If they want to take a leave for let's say a day, they need to like inform me at least 2 weeks or 1 week before that time. so that I can organize or like say complete the staffing for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really don't want a person just telling me just now and the shift starts in a few hours that they
Right.
would take a leave. No, I'm not allowing that. So normally I ask them to let me know at least a week or two if you're gonna take this day off. Just let me know so that I can rearrange the schedule.
Right. And there's like an entire work culture in the Philippines around kind of working graveyard shifts
Yes.
on American time, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Graveyard shift is like night shift here in the Philippines wherein you really have to work the entire night up until morning. At first it's really hard because the life of Filipinos starts in the morning. But again, like what I said earlier, it's just plainly time management. You can still get to sleep in the morning. You just have to adjust your body clock. That's it. You just have to really like teach yourself how to do things and manage the time exactly.
Okay, awesome. So what would you say is the hardest part, right, for each of you, hardest part about your job here at our company?
Me letting go of people, because it's hard. You already know the person, you know the skills, and you already know how they work. It's just that you really have to, and delivering that information is really hard for me.
Yeah.
But I really have to do it.
I know at first, like, you wanted to give people a lot of chances,
Yes.
but as a company, we're only as strong as our weakest link, right? So if
Yes.
someone is slacking off, that affects everyone else, and they have to
Yes.
work harder to cover.
Yes.
So I don't want to get too deep into
Yes.
us letting someone go,
Yes.
but that definitely like is something that you've had to learn and grow
Yes.
and evolve as a manager.
Yes.
What about you? The hardest part about your job?
Aside from the answer of Christine, if most of the guests are actually like complaining, like issues about the listing at the same time, like 3 or 5
Yeah.
guesses, then or like there are some outages in the location, so you may need to contact the internet provider or the leasing office. So those are the things that a bit harder in terms of handling Airbnb properties. So it feels like you're working like an octopus. You need to work from one PC or one tab to another while you're chatting with your guests or talking over the phone with the internet provider or other providers that you may need to contact in order to have those issues to be resolved. So I think aside from that, everything is actually working well. As long as you can actually get the answer from, like, for example, if you may need to contact the leasing office, if you can get an answer from them immediately, if they can send someone to the property to fix the issue, then everything should be good.
Exactly, yeah. And that's something that has really helped me as a business owner is hiring virtual assistants. So I know some Airbnb hosts, even at 20 properties, 25 properties, they don't even have a single virtual assistant. And as a host, you burn out very, very easily, right? Like you mentioned, you have to handle multiple guest problems at the same time. And whenever you call an internet provider, you could be on the line for like an hour.
Correct.
Or even with Airbnb, so you can't be, on multiple lines at once. So you tend to burn out very, very easily as an Airbnb host if you don't hire virtual assistants and start to outsource a lot of those tasks. So what is your favorite part about the job that you have?
My favorite part is every time that I win and every turnovers or like cancellation that mishandled by Airbnb, that's a good part because that's going to be counted as my claims. That's one thing. And every time that the guest's issues are actually being resolved in a timely manner, like the property complex maintenance team, or every time that you call the ISP provider, and every time that we ask Kevin, our regional property manager in the location, if those issues are actually being solved within my shift, I'm actually happy with that. So, which means to say that we're all good in doing our tasks on that specific shift. Then only few tasks will be done by the next VA, so we'll be handling the next issues.
And so talk a little bit about the relationship with Kevin. So Kevin is our regional manager. He started out as a handyman, kind of running around fixing maintenance issues, handling guest issues. So what is that relationship like between you and Kevin?
Our relationship with Kevin is actually, I think when I started, is actually good. At first, I felt that he's actually a bit bossy. We just need to learn how he works with the company. He just need to be stiff or strict in terms of like doing actions and in terms of like asking information from him or tasks that he may need to do, and praise him every time that he do or completes his task during the day. So as long as you can actually deliver all of the information that he needs to do the task, then everything will actually go smooth every time that you ask him to do something. And I think that's actually working with Kevin and with all of the VAs.
Right. And Kevin's a big part of helping you provide evidence for winning the claims, right? So you
Yes.
guys work hand in hand. in
Correct.
that aspect.
Yeah. So I always ask Kevin to provide me videos or itemized bill or items that are being damaged by the guests in Airbnb. And also to provide me videos of the repairs or the things that he need to do to the property, like for example cleaning or ozone or deodorizing the furnitures or bed, couches. I need to get those information or documents so that I can actually be successful in filing claims to Airbnb.
Yeah. So speaking of that, we have a $1,000 smoking fee.
Yeah.
So what would you say is a typical amount that we collect? Let's say someone or a guest smokes on our property. What amount or dollar amount would you say we typically collect, and what is the best way for maybe another host, you can teach them how we win that?
Just make sure that you provide all of the evidence and also the receipts to the resolution center. Normally, the amount we're getting is actually around $800 to $900. If Airbnb claims department is not doing most of the investigation or asking a lot of things, then normally they pay like $1,000 if you were able to provide everything.
And what sort of evidence do we submit as a company to win that? We win it pretty much like 90% of the time.
There are times that if there are evidence like cigarette butts, ashes, if there is none, one thing that you could also submit is like the receipt or the cleaning receipt coming from the
Invoice.
cleaning company. Yeah.
And
So
what do you put on that invoice?
the authorizing rental of the ozone or humidifier. Yeah. So those are the things that you need to submit to Airbnb, and also deep cleaning. So you may need to provide a detailed information as well, like incident report or what are the things that were found inside the listing. Most especially smell, because Airbnb is very strict in terms of smell issues with their listing. So their policy, smells cannot be documented. So typically, normally they will just reimburse you because of that policy.
Talk about what happens if you smoke inside in the Philippines.
So a lot of people that watch my videos, they got really upset that we have $1,000 smoking fee. But you know what happens if you smoke indoors in the Philippines? Like it's more than $1,000 smoking fee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is more, but I think most of the Filipinos are actually smoking,
Yes.
right? So I think we don't have that kind of fees here in the Philippines, but there are some hosts who are actually asking additional cleaning for smoking because it's really hard to remove the smell inside the
Right,
listing.
right.
Yeah,
But in like a typical restaurant like this, there's smoking areas.
yeah, there is.
But if you don't, like let's say you just decide to light up a cigarette here in the restaurant, you know, what's the punishment for that?
I think that would be like
I guess to answer that, there's gonna be a fine. My experience,
Imprisonment too.
either it's gonna be a fine that you have to pay, or like a policeman will just drop by or a guard will just drop by and take
Escort
you,
you.
escort you out, or you'll end up in prison.
For how long?
It depends though. Sometimes it's a month or more, just for smoking in a place. Because I
Right,
remember
right.
one time when I was out, and I tend to really smoke a lot. So
Right.
there's this place that we ate on, and I thought they allow smoking. So I was like smoking inside, and then the waitress was like approaching me and asking me for 10,000 pesos for just smoking inside the premise. So I just went
Yeah,
out
yeah.
instead, just not to continue what I'm doing.
It's about $200.
Yeah, roughly
yeah.
$200.
And then like, so for those of you in the States that are complaining about that, you know, you have it a lot easier than here in the Philippines. And if you get caught smoking like marijuana, that's like a
It's
imprisonment
gonna
of
be
like a year.
imprisonment of minimum a year or
Right.
more.
Or they could potentially
Bring it a
shoot
little
you.
bit closer.
Or they could potentially like kill you, right?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They do.
Okay, so let's see. Oh. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Handyman, specifically Kevin or Manuel, and how was it like working with them, and how important are they and your relationship with them to our company?
With working with handymans or like maintenance or with Kevin, I don't like emphasize my position in the company. It's like we're the same. I normally just make sure that every detail is informed to them, specific details on a timely manner. If it's really needed right now, I ask them if you really need to come here right now. If it's urgent, just tell them it's really urgent. You really have to be here. It's not being like firm. It's more of like I'm imposing. Like you really need to be here.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I'm just letting them know that this is what it is. You really have to do this, but on a respectful way. Because
Right,
I
of
don't
course.
wanna like make an impression that what is this girl? Why is she like acting this way? No, I don't like that. So I tend to really explain myself beforehand that I really just need to be like this because this is work. But if it's outside work, then we're friends. That's
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
problem. But if it's work, it's really work.
And what sort of character qualities make for a good handyman hire, would you
For
say?
for a handyman, first thing I'm looking for is the availability, because we can never tell
So
what
hard,
time. Yeah,
right? A lot of them are not available.
exactly.
Yep.
We cannot avoid like an issue in the middle of the night. We can never tell. So availability is the very first one that I'm looking for. Next, maybe the working hours. That's just to follow. And then what are the things that he can do and he cannot do. So those are the things that really is important for you to know if that handyman is worth getting or not.
Right, where like our handyman
Yes.
can do everything: electrical, plumbing,
Exactly.
HVAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely makes
It's
it a lot easier.
better if it's all in one package. Yes.
And how important would you say it is for you to get inspection reports?
For inspection reports, it's really needed actually.
Yeah.
Because you would know beforehand, before a guest checks in, what needs to be done in the property, what supplies needed to be like provided, or if there's issue, you would know already ahead of time and you can take actions. So that's how important inspection is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And so our busiest days are typically Sundays.
Yes.
Right? We have usually like 20, sometimes 30 turnovers?
Yes.
What was the biggest amount, like the most hectic day that you've had on a Sunday?
Like we had, I think that was 30 plus, 35 to 40 turnovers on that specific day. That's
And
how
what was
big.
that like describe your day during that time?
It was crazy actually,
Yeah.
to be honest, because there are a lot of people really contacting you or communicating with you, informing you, hey, I can check in, and then you would see there's another call coming in, waiting. It's crazy, but again, it's how you handle stuff. So on if that happens, you just have to really know which one you need to start first. The most urgent
Prioritize.
ones, prioritize things, yes. You just have to know which one you have to prioritize. And then the others, yes, you will pay attention, but you have to resolve the ones that needed attention, really.
And on that note, can you describe like the flow during a week? So typically Sundays and Fridays are the busiest, and what days are the slowest? Can you describe kind of like what your week looks like?
The slowest days normally is Monday to Wednesday. Thursday, it's just gonna went up a little, but not that much. But Friday during weekend, it's really busy. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, especially that every weekend sometimes leasing office is closed. So it's really hard and a struggle if it's gonna be a weekend. But again, it's the mindset. You just have to really know if you would know the leasing office is already closed, so I have to call the vendor. So you just really have to know what you need to do on those days.
What are some of the most common questions that you get? And what are some of the most common questions that you get from guests? And what are some of the most common questions that you get from guests that you have to answer?
Typically the same thing every day actually. How is the parking? Where is this? Where is the iron? Specific details about the property. So it's just the same. Sometimes they just really don't tend to read.
Right, because we have all that
Yes,
information
exactly.
available for them.
Yes, they just really tend not to read, but the information is already there. But they just have to confirm it for themselves. That's why they ask questions.
Right.
But typically it's just the same question over and over.
Yeah, yeah. Is there like a recurring issue that you see or problem that you have to deal with guests?
As of the moment, not really. Just the same issue that we have with the AC issue.
Yeah, because it's really hot in Austin right now. A
Yeah,
lot of ACs
and
are going down.
understandable. Sometimes guests tend to really put the AC really, really low. So
Yeah.
it's gonna really like crash the AC that we have in the property. So again, you just have to really know what to do if it happens.
And something that we've dealt with in the past is like pests, right?
Yes.
So what happens, like what do you do in your job when guest reports, let's say they see a roach? Like what is our typical process?
So
To
just
because sometimes, usually when they do that, they ask for a refund.
yes.
But you know, here in Texas, it's very often that bugs come in. Maybe they left the door open or the window open and it just comes in by itself.
Yes.
So how do you combat that in terms of like not allowing for refunds?
So if in that case, what me and Chris is doing right now is mostly Chris is updating the listing and putting it on the description, like putting a note on it saying that this
There
is a
may be
seasonal.
bugs
Yeah, there may
because
be
of the-
bugs, so that it's gonna be easier for him to fight the claim on.
Right.
But normally on that certain case, I just normally ask them photos. If it's just one bug or one roach, I don't believe it's a valid claim already.
Yeah.
So I tend to really fight for it
Right,
if it's
right.
just one. But if there are really like infestation inside the property, then I tend to resolve it. Either
How so?
call vendor or complex to send pest control over.
Right. And we'll shut the listing down for a day and make
Yes.
sure it's taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very, very important as a host. If you have any sort of amenity issues, maybe the pool is closed,
Yeah.
to have that in your listing
Yes.
in the other things to note section.
Yes.
Because I know you guys do that very, very diligently. That way, if a guest does complain about it, you know, it's already there disclosed, and you can actually use that to help battle claims. And obviously, you want to disclose that to someone that may be booking so they can read it. And if they're still okay with it, and they still book, then that means, you know, they're okay with it.
Yes. Correct.
Awesome. So I guess for the last question, describe kind of what you see your future as in the company, and what you think about going forward.
For me, I just really want to stay with the company for a long time. It's been my home for the past 4 years and looking forward to more years to come. Because I'm literally enjoying what we're doing right now. Enjoying dealing with people like Chris, Stacy, and Trish, and you. So it's already a home. It's not a work for me now, it's already a home. Because I have my buddies and you working with. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
It's beautiful. Appreciate that. We love having you here. Yeah. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, since I'm actually just turned my 6 months later, I think on September 7th, so that will be my 6 month in the company. Yeah, I would also want to stay longer with the company. And also, if the company will also grow bigger, I would also want to grow bigger as well together with the company. And also put a lot of things that I can actually provide to the company and share the knowledge that I've learned from my BPO experience and also with Airbnb, and also to have a help other hosts as well and how they can actually be successful with their Airbnb business.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming in and joining me on this conversation. It was amazing to meet you guys, and I think we'll wrap things up here. All right.
Hug each other, yeah. First time meeting.
Awesome. Whew. Sorry to keep you so long. It's almost 10. Yeah, Chris, you're a rock star in Filipinos, man. Crazy. Yeah.